Welcome to Light Code Portal. My name is Tanya Griffin. I'm the Dean of University, and I'm here with Anna Noyce, who is the founder of Light Language University and Circle Insights. And Light Language University, our mission is to inspire others who are awakening and to aid in the imminent growth of the conscious awareness of being multidimensional. Sorry, I got tongue tied there for a moment. How are you tonight, Anna?
I'm good. Well, there's some kind of new moon tonight, and so it's something about manifesting and kind of exciting tonight. So I'm really excited we're doing this evening.
Oh, excellent. Yes, tonight's topic is heart connection. So, some very interesting facts to just start off the night. Did you know that one of the frequencies of the earth resonance is zero point 0.1 hertz, and that the human heart frequency matches the rhythm of the earth when it is in a heart coherent state? Also, did you know that the field that we can manometer reading of illness?
Whoops, I think you froze. so so did you know that the rhythm
Are we
of the drum?
back?
Yeah, for some reason it keeps
Can you hear
freezing.
me, Anna?
I can now, yes. Oops, you froze again. Okay. All right, well, I'm going to go ahead and start. So I know that some of the practitioners, when they hold your wrist, they can get a pulse reading of an illness and what's going on in your body. The rhythms of the drum and the shamans, they use
Oh,
the drums to help us get into that frequency of the heart and match what's happening on the earth. So we're really kind of matching everything. So why is this so important? And I know your question is, what does it have to do with light language? The heart connection. Well, it has everything to do with the heart language because we are all heart connected. So we have these incredible modalities out there like heart math and heart connection. And when we look at the anatomy of the spirit, and remember, Tanya, we always say in light language to take your hands and spread it out and move it around like this because the aura is about as big as you can push out of your physical body. And of course the chakras are connected to the different layers of the aura. And what makes the heart so important is the heart is connected to the astral planes. And when you look at something like the four levels of consciousness, which is what we teach in Light Language University, you have the individual consciousness, which is me, myself, and I, or Descartes, I think, therefore I am. You have the group consciousness, which is what we're seeing all over the planet and how they're connecting through the various incarnations of other lifetimes or how they relate to something that they feel passionate about. We see a lot of that as we're moving into this new age of Aquarian age. And then we also have the collective consciousness, which is what defines everything on the planet. So if we want to say, this is a glass of water, and everybody agrees on that because this is what we agree that a glass of water looks like, it becomes the molecules in that consciousness becomes that. And then if we agreed that it's a monkey, it's going to jump up and run off. And this is one of the stories that we explain. And then you have oneness, which is the omnipotent, the God creator oneness or universe consciousness, which is the fourth layer. So with this understanding, this heart connection that you were just saying that we can measure with the magnometer um, is going out into the astral fields and connecting to all four levels of consciousness. So not only it also regulates the chemistry of the body, we know it also regulates the hormones. It regulates so much, and they've done some studies in heart math that the brain, we always give lots of credit to the brain. But did you know that the heart actually gives more signals, you're a nurse, more signals to the body than the brain does, working on the nervous system. So when we get scared and you hear that thump, 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 it goes out into your fields. And we become that radio that connects with everybody else, and somebody else will get nervous. And that's what we call, what is it, empath? You're in a room, you feel somebody scared, you feel somebody's emotions. It's that heart connection of stepping in or tapping into those 4 layers of consciousness, which is very exciting. So light language, again, is that nonverbal. I mean, you do have the galactic tongues, but that's only a tiny part of light language, because light language is beyond just the verbal. It goes into this silent language of the soul and the spirit that expresses itself and communicates with everyone else, the earth, the planets. Because even as the planets are moving around, and you look at modalities such as acutonics, and the planets are moving, they're also shifting the magnetic fields. And the heart is creating a magnetic field, and the body is connecting to the different planets. So a full moon, everybody says, why is the full moon? Everybody's going crazy, you know? It's because we're all connecting to that. When someone hurts on the other side and we're on that same resonance, we're connecting through that heart field. We're reading the light language and we're experiencing that. Ever been in a situation where you just all of a sudden start crying and you don't know why? You turn on the television, you find out something's going on worldwide, and you go, oh, that's it. Because that's that higher consciousness of the collective or the group. Or we can do our individual experience from a past life, where we connect into the beings that are around us that are not part of the physical world, but part of the spiritual world, that are also interacting with us. It's an amazing, amazing thing to learn about.
So when you say that someone has a heart connection, how would you explain that?
So the heart connection is just, it's our empathic abilities. It's the way we connect to someone else. It's how we feel and how they feel. It's that nonverbal language. So if you walk by somebody and you saw somebody who tripped and fell, you would either laugh, or you would connect with your heart and you would go, okay, that's happened to me. Let me help you. Let me help you do that. So that's a heart connection. When we watch television, and I love television, it's fun, and you're watching a movie, how many times do we go, oh, no, 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 don't go through that door. No, 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 no. You're connecting through the emotions, the energy, right? So the motions, and again, that's all the spirit anatomy that's working through the light language energy. And I'm doing this because that's the chakras lighting up, and they're all working together. And we like to say they're separate. The third eye, everybody wants to open the third eye. They want to see things. But then your throat is also opening. So we're hearing things because we've got all levels of consciousness right at our fingertips, and all levels of how we step in to learn about them through our psychic senses that match our physical senses.
So I have a question, because I've heard of this, but I don't really know what it is. I've never really done a lot of research into it, but you mentioned it just a minute ago. You referenced it, which is heart math. What exactly is heart math?
Oh, heart math is where they've done a lot of research about it, and they actually can measure it, and they can teach you different techniques of how to do meditations, and change the frequencies or change the way you feel. So if you're feeling anxious, they can and we do the same thing in Light Language University. We teach you how to use the chakra balancing tool, how to use the breath of light. So they're kind of using the same, but they're backing it up with scientific research, and that's a whole thing that's gone out. Did I freeze? Sorry.
So you referenced the 4 levels of consciousness a while ago, and kind of how it all works together. So could you expound a little bit more on that, the 4 levels of consciousness and the heart connection, and how they work together um, in people?
Yes. So when you are, again, the reference that I said back before, if you're watching television, or you have a sad, or you're sad, and then you don't know why you're sad, and then you go and you turn television on and you find out something's going on. Maybe there's fire somewhere, and you've picked up on that. Or maybe there's a big earthquake and lots of people, are tsunami and people are wiped out, and you feel that. because that's in the field of the heart, and the heart connects through that astral plane, which has no limits, that goes onto that group consciousness or that collective consciousness. It just automatically comes in. I think, Tanya, one of the things that we think is everything's separate, but it's not. It all interacts. That's why the chakras and the auras are constantly working together. It would be like saying, well, your liver is only working, if your kidneys are working. Well, yeah, it helps to have everything working with your lungs in it, because that's how you work. But if your liver is only working, well, then it doesn't work, right? You've got to have everything working. So the spirit anatomy plays a huge and the four levels of consciousness play, because they're constantly picking up information. Your spirit anatomy is picking up information from not only a person in front of you, not only the groups of consciousness that are happening around you, but also the whole collective that is also plugged into that oneness of unity consciousness. So when we hit that resonance, and I think you said it earlier, of how that resonance of the heart that matches the earth plane. So when we're in that state of peace, our gratitude, or just full of love, that opens the heart up and the space up to match those frequencies that are on the planet, that are on the universe, that come in and magnify that experience. Or we can shut it down. Death, when we lose somebody on the planet, when somebody dies or we lose a pet or something happens, you feel that pain, because the heart pulls itself back in. That magnetic field pulls in. And when you're open, it opens up. And again, it also feeds into that levels of consciousness. It also feeds into that space of connection on that we talk about as the aura that speaks to everything. So again, what do we say? We say 30% of your spirit or your soul is in your physical body.
Yeah.
Right? And the rest is out here. So it's like shoving an elephant into a Mini Cooper. It's all working together.
Yes, and I can actually attest to that. That's why I don't like watching tearjerker movies, because I am one of those people. It hurts me so bad. It really affects me. Even when an instance, I don't know if you remember the Challenger disaster, when the Challenger blew up with the teacher on board. That was back in the 80s. That affected me so deeply. I had to actually go home from school that day. It affected me so badly. And it was just across the board. So yeah, that's just a little snippet of, I guess, how that works together.
9/11 was huge. 9/11 for many people, and they didn't even know what was happening until they turned their televisions on and felt it. We are so connected, and I think that's one of the reasons why, as we awaken, we realize how connected we are and how we affect each other. We can be on the other side of the planet and affect each other. But you're right, yes. It's huge.
So we know that the stomach acts like a brain in processing information from light language. Is there a similar connection with the heart in the way that it processes?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So the heart brings in that astral connection that we were just talking, and it sends signals through the nervous system and it sends it to the brain. So we're used to the brain sending signals to the heart, but now the heart's sending signals to the brain, to the body, and we feel that chemistry. When you're scared and the chemistry happens, your heart kind of stops for a minute, and all of your body just kind of. I always tell people when I get scared, I was like, oh, I just dropped 10 pounds, because the heart, everything goes, and then the electrical energy goes through. So, it works that way when you're loved. I love that feeling of being in love. I mean, we all do, don't we? You just feel your whole energy, your aura, your vibrant, everything, because it raises your frequency when you're in that love, and the chemistry changes and things start to heal and things start to be amazing. So it's a wonderful feeling.
Yes, that's why some people tend to like to fall in love quite often. Um, but okay, so on the matter of that, do your soul groups and soul mates play a more important part in your heart connection? You know, is since you're tied closer together.
Well, it depends. So I'm gonna take the prospect of looking at an apple. So yes, if you're looking at it from that perspective, of course they do because you're interacting here. But the truth is, we're all one. And we hear that. My dad used to tell me, he goes, Anna, we're all one, we're all connected. I'm like, Dad, you're full of it. I'm 8, 7, 5, Dad, and he's like, you're not awake. I am awake, Dad. Look at me. My eyes are open. Yes, I mean, it's all happening. Again, it's like our blood moving. So the question you're asking is, what's the difference between our blood moving and our lungs working? It all works together. Which is more important, the lungs breathing or the blood running through your body? It's all happening. It depends on what you're focusing on. So if you're focusing on the blood, that's going to be more important at the time. If you're focusing on the lungs, that's important. If that makes sense. Or the brain function. So yeah, that's kind of one of those questions, but a good question.
Yes, and as a nurse, I can tell you that if you don't have all those things going at once, it's not going to be good for you. So, can a heart connection make us sick?
And I bet you, as a nurse, you know the answer to that one.
Yes.
Right? And why?
You take
Why
on
would
other people's.
Oh, sorry. And why would that make us sick?
Because you're taking on other people's. You're taking on their anxieties. You're taking on their illnesses because you have that connection with them, and you can feel that pain. And so, yes, it's not unusual for that kind of thing to happen.
I'm telling you, sometimes when you're watching TV and they have those ads with those beautiful children or animals and stuff, and my heart just goes, because I feel it. And I have to, either go get on the phone and do something about it or, do something else because we feel it. We feel it. Whether we want to or not, we feel it. And we do go through instances where we close ourselves down and we bring that energy in. And I know when we're working with spirit, and you work with spirit as well, and we're working with spirit, we either open our fields so we can feel what's in the room. If we're looking for spirits or our ghost and we're helping somebody cross over, we open those fields. We connect with that heart energy. Or if we don't want to, if we walk into a room and everybody's mad, we're going to pull our energy in because we're not going to want to feel it. So it's really, we use this a lot. And what's interesting is, and this as a nurse, we don't even have to think. It's like breathing. It just happens automatically. Everything is working on its own, just like breathing, just like the heart beating. If I had to sit here and make my heart beat while I was sitting here and talk to you and do all the stuff that we're doing, something's going to drop. So, and that's how we're connected with through the heart because it's just constantly working.
And that's why I tell people when we're teaching, one of the hardest things to do is determine what's yours and what's not, because we are all connected, and you are feeling all of that. Are there any techniques that a person could use to help bring balance in their lives when they're overwhelmed with a heart connection?
Yes. And actually, there's a lot of machines out there that do it as well. Did you know there's the thing called the Apollo that you put on your wrist, and it helps send electrical pulses through your wrist into your matrix of your physical body that helps calm things down and brings the energy, the nervous system, the heart. It kind of calms things down. Um, we listen to guided meditations. We love to hear guided meditations. Music works. Sometimes just watching, for some people, watching a movie of love, where boys meet girl, and girl meets boy, and then they break up, and then they get together, and it's like, oh. And for others, that can be anxiety, that you were saying earlier. So that can be anxiety for some people because we wonder if they're going to get together. So it's going to be different for each person. The chakra balancing tool that we have the video out is amazing. The breath of light, where you're breathing in the golden white light and releasing, um, sitting in your energy and going into Zen. Zentangle is another technique where you're drawing these wonderful designs and really just getting into what you're creating. Creator energy is big time heart energy. Drumming, big time heart energy. So, yeah. And I don't know about you, but every once in a while when I get to have a sundae, just eating the sundae. Ice cream sundae with a banana. That's like, oh, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So different ways
Oh,
we all,
that's funny.
yeah. And you know me, I'm lactose intolerant. So yeah, that's always a fun one, but it's amazing.
Amazing while you're doing it, not so amazing afterwards.
They have lactose pills. Thank goodness. So it helps, but you're right.
So I have one more question here. It looks like the last one to wrap things up. And I think it's going to be a fairly simple one for you to answer. Are the heart and soul related?
Yes. Yes. So when we're talking about the heart, we're not just talking about the physical heart. We're talking about the physical heart and we're talking about the soul. So we've got two types of anatomy. We've got the physical anatomy and we've got the spirit anatomy. And together is what makes the human being alive. So, yes, are they related? They have to be related because without them working together, we exit. So, it's very important to work. And while the physical is feeding the brain, the physical brain, the physical heart, so is the spirit. The spirit's feeding the, and we have a spirit. We teach this in 101, or no, actually it's 102. We talk about the spirit, and the spirit has its own brain. It has its own consciousness, which is what your consciousness is in that physical body. So it's all interconnected.
Okay, it looks like we had one more question come through. I'm going to try to ask this correctly. It says,
Okay.
when people connect to the earth quickly, does it mean that you're connected?
Well, it depends how you're doing. If you're connecting through, if you're connected through the roots, um, it means you're connected to through that. But if you're talking about that heart energy, it's the resonance of it. So you can connect into the roots and you can open that heart chakra up, which opens up the astral planes, which connects into, so again, we're going through the spirit anatomy, which connects into the heart energy, which raises the frequency and connects you to everybody else and everything. So you can do that on a conscious level. But the other thing is, um, we're connected all the time. The only time that we don't connect is when we feel that pain or that suffering. And that's us holding something down or choking it off. And that's when we collapse everything.
Okay, one more little one.
Oh, I like
And
questions.
then we will go.
You're good.
How do we teach our children to manage the heart connection? Since, we are looking at expounding in the future our university into children's programs, this would be a good question. How do we
Right.
help children to manage that?
Well, I like to go back into when you're chakra balancing your tools. And I'm dyslexic, so I got to say that backwards. Wasn't that cute? Chakra balancing your tools. The chakra balancing tool is where you get those chakras in alignment. You open up the spirit anatomy. Because remember, again, the spirit anatomy is a part of everything that's around us, including the astral plane, but it's also including the stars. And so if we teach our children how to just sit down and meditate and open up those fields and send out that positive energy, that's a wonderful way. Playing with light. And another thing that we do is we play with, we create these light balls. And Reiki, I call them Reiki balls, but we create these balls of golden white light and we open it up and we play with them. And so teaching children that they can play with these balls, they can step into them, they can grow them, they can send them out to other people. put love into them, they can program these beautiful energy balls. And what you're doing is, even though it looks like we're playing with these balls, we're really expanding the heart, the magnetic field. Couldn't say that. The magnetic field of the heart chakra and the heart frequency into the astral planes, and that is connecting to everything. So there's a lot of things that we can do with kids to play with, give them games or things like that, but also helps them open up that magnetic field and shift. And I want to say one more thing before we go, Tanya. The heart connection is really about us. And when we plug into the heart connection, we can either go in, and we remember this, the tone scale, right? We talk about this, but we can either go in on a positive or we can go in a negative where we pull it back in. So if we teach our children and we practice ourselves to go into the positive and we open up those fields, we're on the light language perspective, or the light language of what we have, are shifting consciousness. We're shifting our family's consciousness. We're raising the frequencies. We're shifting our neighborhoods. The bigger we expand it, and we're shifting the collective. Isn't that what we want to do? We want to raise the frequencies and awaken and go into these higher fields of love. That's powerful. Or do we want to pull everything in and become tight? So I think what we want to do is teach children how to open up and raise frequencies.
Very true. Very true. I think those are wonderful last words. I want to thank you tonight for being here. I want to thank all of our wonderful listeners who continue to follow. So very, very. Please go to our site at lightlanguageuniversity.com. We do have a next weekend. Please check our calendar on a regular basis as we're continually updating it with classes and workshops. And again, my name is Tanya Griffin with Light Language University. Thank you and good night.